Brian and Neil at the table. Umar Lee, a taxi cab driver himself, and Ed Domain, a tech entrepreneur who's been very exposed yourself personally and emotionally. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Call that a tease in the business. I'm sorry, Ed. Umar, I've seen you in the streets of Ferguson. I've seen you on social media taking on what people would consider progressive causes. Did this issue really break down on red and blue lines politically? Because as a cab driver, I think you're not too excited about Uber when you might align with the Uber camp on a lot of other issues.
Well, I think the Uber camp on this issue has aligned themselves with the techno-libertarian right wing, the group that wants to take this society back to before the New Deal, unregulated capitalism.
So why don't you want Uber? What is a cab doing for St. Louis that Uber drivers won't?
Well, a cab is serving St. Louis. We're serving the metropolitan area. We want to serve everybody. Uber comes in. They just want to serve those with bank accounts with credit cards. We know a large portion of the metropolitan area is unbanked. We know that Uber is not interested, and we look around the country, they're not interested in low-income areas. They're not going to be in North St. Louis. They're not going to be in most of South St. Louis and North County. The cab companies are serving the entire metropolitan area. This is not just about taking people home from bars and nightclubs. You know, I'm taking gunshot wound victims home from the hospital. I'm taking sick kids home from the hospital. We're taking kids to school. We're taking people to and from work every day. We're taking people to the laundromat and back. I had an old man in the cab yesterday. He couldn't even spell the name of his street. You know, he just had a heat stroke.
And you don't think Uber will serve these people?
Uber has no interest in serving these people.
Do you have to take a call even if you don't want to go to a particular?
Yes, I do. And we take all throughout the metropolitan area. And this is the thing. The discussion online is a discussion between, let's just say it, semi-affluent to affluent hipsters who are only worried about getting from the latte shop to the craft brew spot. Well, it's a lot bigger than that. It's not a game. You need the background checks. You need the insurance.
Ed, there's not enough time in a 30-minute entire show but to talk about all that you've talked about on social media. But I guess let me just start with, why do you think Uber is important to St. Louis?
Well, it's a free market issue. You can't engage in protectionism. It doesn't make any sense. And to my new friend's point over here, I have been asked to take to different neighborhoods in the city before and use a credit card, and the cab driver has told me I won't turn on my credit card machine because if they know I'm going to that neighborhood, I have to take other calls. So I think there's a little fallacy in the fact that they take people home. Hospitals have reached out to me and told me they have a hard time getting cabs to come pick up the poor that they have to give a voucher to take them home.
So what do you make of the cab service? Pre-Uber, with or without Uber? Are you satisfied? You're not from the area, you're from Chicago, you've moved around, your business takes you
elsewhere. Been here 3 years now.
So what do you make of the cab business? Is this a market that is adequately served?
No, it's a mess. And I've interviewed cab drivers who are all terrified to go on the record publicly because they're afraid they'll be fired, and they hate the MTC. They hate the way they're treated. They're forced to use credit card processing companies that take 7% of their income. They want to use Square. Some of the companies won't let them do it because the cab drivers say their bosses get kickbacks at the cab company.
So if this Uber fight doesn't go the way you would like to see it go?
Well, on July 29th, we're going to bring a couple hundred people to the MTC meeting. We'll give public notice so they have a chance to get a big enough room. The biggest names in the city have signed up to support me, not just the hipster, liberal techies, but Joe Reagan of the St. Louis Regional Chamber, Maxine Clark of Build-A-Bear, who's done $5 billion in revenue. These are real people, real leaders that want to see progress come to St. Louis because they think it's embarrassing that we're not with the times.
People have not been happy with cabs for some time. I don't think that's entirely a secret.
Well, let me address this real quickly, because this isn't about the free market. This is about public safety. And again, what we have to do at the MTC is make sure that we oversee the operation of taxi cabs. And overseeing them means that we make sure that the background checks are done on the drivers. We make sure that we have as much information as we can possibly have. We make sure that we oversee the insurance, and I know that that's a dispute among others, but we do everything that can be done. The idea of bringing Uber in, and I know that's been a big argument by Mr. Domain, is this insurance issue as it applied to him personally, but the idea of Uber is they will give us none of this information. So again, if he thinks that he's been victimized because there was a cab that had an issue, and I'm familiar with that issue and can discuss that issue at depth, but again, if you think that you're going to solve that problem by bringing in Uber, who will not identify their drivers, who will not provide background check information other than to say we do it, and will not give us any of their insurance information on their individual drivers, you're out of your mind if you say
why
that.
not
Casey,
vote?
that makes no sense because if the fingerprint issue is such a big issue, Chief Dotson has said it's not a concern for him. And if they're willing to waive it right now temporarily, what sense does that make? How can we be safe if they're going to waive it temporarily? And as far as the other issue goes, with safety, every driver, every car in Uber is being tracked by GPS. You know where it is. If someone's in trouble, they're going to rate the driver bad. The driver can rate the passenger badly. With a cab, you have no guarantee
We have
whatsoever.
we have less than 1 minute. Can
Well,
both exist?
You need to follow the hashtag Ubered, because if there's a lot of complaints about cabs, there's a lot of complaints about Ubers in city after cities, including a lot of arrests of drivers. We just had a terrible rape case this week with an Uber driver. So those background checks are
Cab
needed.
drivers don't do those things?
And the truth of the matter is they're not going to share that information. Uber simply won't do it. We'll never know who they are. So his argument that, look, we can follow them, they can, but we can't. So if you're victimized in an Uber car, there's absolutely nothing you can do unless you want to try and sue them in San Francisco, and good luck.
Well, there you go again, Neil. You say that the MTC's jobs is to regulate cabs, but they couldn't regulate the cab that almost killed me. So how can we trust them
And
to
we
regulate
did.
Time out
Uber?
for 1 second. We're going to keep this discussion going online. That's all the time we have on air, so we'll have the rest online. Gentlemen, thank you all. Hang tight 1 second.